Welcome back. We're talking about how to manifest vitality, and we're so honored to have Sahara Rose, who is an Ayurvedic master, and you also have the top podcast, Highest Self podcast. I like it. We're definitely in sync. How are you? So nice to finally meet you in person.
Well. Yes, so great to meet you and all of you guys as well. So happy to be here on this beautiful day.
Right. So we're so excited to learn more about Ayurveda because of course, you hear about it all the time. I don't know that much about it.
For sure, yeah.
Help
What
educate
is
us.
it? Yeah. So Ayurveda is the world's oldest health system, and it's the sister science of yoga. So a lot of us, we practice yoga because we want to have more balance or anxiety or whatever other issue. But actually, if you're practicing for a physical or mental reason, it's Ayurveda you're practicing. So Ayurveda was the sister science that said to truly practice yoga, which is a spiritual practice, you can't have a stomach ache or really bad anxiety or all of these things. They really keep you in your body. So you have to balance the mind and body to be able to transcend it. So Ayurveda is the practice of knowing your body, knowing how they're connected between the mind and body, and picking the right dietary choices for you, self-care practices, meditations, etc. So it's sort of like this, like a manual on how to live your life.
When did you get access to this manual?
I did not get access. I had no choice. I think everyone who's in the health industry first had a problem. Otherwise, Ayurveda is not a sexy topic to go into. So my own health problems are what brought me into Ayurveda. When I was around 20 years old, I started traveling a lot. I was volunteering in India teaching health and sanitation in the slums, and my health started really deteriorating. And I was someone who ate so healthy, all the smoothies and salads, and took so many supplements every day. And I started to lose a lot of weight, and my hair would fall out, and I would faint all the time, and I would feel so cold. And I stopped getting my period for 2 years. And I had gone to so many doctors, and no one knew the cause. They said, oh, just take this IBS medication, take birth control, take this, take that. But nothing was getting to the root. And I just knew inside myself there must be something that's causing this, right? So I decided I would visit an Ayurvedic doctor while in India because I had nothing else to lose. And the moment she saw me, she's like, Beta, you're too pretty to never have baby. And I'm like, and that means daughter. And I was like, wait, how does she know that I don't get my period? I never even mentioned that to her, but she could instantly just tell.
Wow.
And at that point, when I was 21, my body went to perimenopause. So it basically had shut down, and I was at risk of early stage Alzheimer's and osteoporosis. So I was like, what do I do? And essentially the cause of all of this was the diet that I was eating. It was just wrong for my unique body type. And all of these issues I had, anxiety, my bones would always get injured. All of these problems were all related to that one body type, the Vata body type. And as soon as I started following the dietary and lifestyle suggestions, everything went away. And my personality even shifted. And I became so much more goal-oriented and ambitious and hardworking, and all of these things that I thought like, oh, I could never follow through with something. I'm just a confused, flaky person. All of that changed, and it was all just related to that imbalance.
Wow.
But even saying that, because then someone would listen to that and go, oh, see, it's all of what you eat. But at the same time, you had to consciously say, I decide to get healthy, and it drove you to seek the outside, right? So how much do you feel like it has to start from within?
Yeah, I think that we all have certain points where it begins. So for me, it started as food because I was always such a foodie person, and I was obsessed with eating clean, and then that became too clean, and just that obsession was what was fueling the imbalance as well. So now that I work in this and I'm a practitioner, I lived in India for many years studying the subject, food is only a small part of it. In Ayurveda, they say food is only 1/5 of your overall health, but it's your relationships, and it's your environment, and it's your lifestyle, and it's your mindset. And food, the foods you eat will only be a reflection of that.
So what changes did you start making immediately?
Yeah, so I was following a mostly raw diet, and not so consciously, but it's more the foods that are promoted as health foods, like salads and smoothies and kale chips, and those type of things happen to all be cold, raw, and dry, which are the qualities of Vata, of air, which was the imbalance I had. So in my body, I was cold, dry, air-like qualities, bloating, gas, constipation, anxiety. These are, Ayurveda looks at the elements. So the elements you are eating are the elements you will have in your body. If you eat a lot of airy foods, you'll feel airy. If you eat a lot of fiery foods, you'll feel fiery. If you eat a lot of earthy foods, you'll feel earthy, which sounds really weird, and we can kind of talk about that more. But So the first thing I switched was to not eat the raw foods and to eat more cooked foods and grounding foods and to actually sit down and eat a meal and not have a smoothie on the go all the time.
Oh my God, I think you've just diagnosed my life.
You're for sure a Vata. I can tell from the shape of your face. You're also a Vata. You're a Pitta. So I can just tell now from looking at someone just how she did with me. But Vata people, they tend to have longer faces, naturally thin, which you both are. And I don't know if you've ever had those same issues that I had of the air-like qualities.
I get gas on occasion. I'm just kidding.
No, but it's really interesting because I share a very similar story in that. And I was eating, smoothies and salads and everything that I thought was like super healthy and right all the time. And I never felt worse. And even just in cooking some of the vegetables that I was eating and adding a few other like warm elements to my diet, changed everything.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, when we think about earthy foods like root vegetables, they're literally grown under the earth. So when you eat them, you're going to take on those earthy qualities. If you eat something that's really light and airy like lettuce, you're going to have more airy qualities. So yes, that would be good for someone who feels really heavy and sluggish and dense and tired. Those are the people who should be going for the more raw foods. But what happens a lot of time is us really like health conscious, La Land people, we overdo it.
Right. I love sweet
don't
potatoes. I
say.
feel good with like sweet potatoes.
You know what?
and
That's
things
so
like
funny.
that. They're
Great,
really
yeah.
I
yummy.
crave sweet potatoes.
So much so. So that's a really good breakfast. And I have tons of sweet potato recipes.
Sweet potato breakfast. I don't
I
know
love
about
that.
that.
But
I'll
you
have
could
it for
just bake a
lunch.
sweet potato and have them in your refrigerator and then just
do it all
put some
the time.
almond butter and cinnamon on there. And that's just a really easy breakfast.
So Deepak Chopra says you are leading voice for the millennial generation into the new paradigm
Yes.
shift. So what is the new paradigm shift?
Yeah, so the new paradigm is essentially, first of all, looking at the mind and body connection, which is amazing that your episode is geared on that, but sort of seeing past the physical skin layers that we see and seeing that we are, intuitive beings and that we are so affected by things that we sort of overlook. For example, let's say I noticed I was doing this every day. I would walk home and to, save 2 minutes, I would go through this like kind of dodgy alley and like just go home to save the 2 minutes. Well, that vibration of going through that and being like, oh, I don't like it here. I'm just trying to save time. That was affecting me for the rest of the day. So these little subtle things that we don't realize, we carry on. So when we become aware, as the other guests were saying, that every little thing from the makeup you put on your skin to the relationships that you have to the way that you spend your first 5 minutes of your day, all of these things just add up. And looking at the new paradigm is to not just look at things from like a textbook perspective, but to look at that deeper level.
It's a really holistic perspective.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I love that. Well, you're so beautiful and your work is so profound and it's so needed. And I'm one of those that I focus primarily on consciousness.
Yes.
But I think it's so important to educate ourselves about, the Ayurveda. Where can they can find you, and do you give them like recipes online? How do they learn more besides just the book?
Yeah, so I recommend everyone start off taking the quiz on my website. It's IamSahararose.com, and it will tell you your dosha, which is your unique body type. And we'll split it up between the dosha between your body and your mind. So you'll see maybe in your mind you're really fiery, which is very determined, goal-oriented, ambitious, but in the body maybe you have too much earth, which is like heaviness and sluggishness. So you'll follow the dietary suggestions for the body and the mental suggestions for the mind, and that really allows you to like isolate and work really single-handedly.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so
Really
much.
profound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So where can people find you?
So my website is IamSahararose.com, as is my Instagram. You can take the quiz. My new book is called Eat, Feel Fresh. It's in bookstores everywhere. I have another book called Idiot's Guide to Ayurveda, which explains everything about Ayurveda if you're interested in diving in deeper.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Such
for
a
having
beautiful,
me.
developful woman. Stay tuned, you guys. We'll be right back.